The long-awaited Panasonic GH6 is finally here. I haven't had any hands-on time with the camera yet, unfortunately, but these are my thoughts based on the specs of the camera and my experience using previous Panasonic GH cameras in the past. But before we get started, I want to remind you that no matter what camera you have right now, it is good enough. You don't have to buy this camera, and it certainly won't make you happy for long. Cameras are just tools, and it's what we do with them as creators that makes the difference in the world. That being said, here are my top 10 things you should know about the Panasonic LUMIX GH6. Number 1, the flippy Audi screen is the magical and thick version that we have seen on the S1H from Panasonic. It's the perfect hybrid of a flip out screen and a flip around screen, giving you the ability to look straight down the middle of the camera when you're using it, and the ability to flip it out for those Casey Neistat selfie-style filming shots. This also aids in allowing you to have full articulation without compromising the port clearance on the side of the camera. Plus, we also have some new buttons on the body, giving us a bonus record button on the front of the body, dedicated white balance and ISO, as well as a new dedicated audio control button that gives you full access to all the audio settings, including that coveted analog limiter. Take that, Sony. Number 2, the new 25 megapixel micro four thirds sensor. It gives us more dynamic range and better low light performance, but nowhere close to the performance of a full frame sensor, unfortunately. I'm curious to see if the performance of the sensor is similar to the amazing GH5S sensor, which I've reviewed in the past. It touted better low light and a slightly larger 4/3 sensor, but that remains to be seen. 20 megapixels was what people thought was the maximum for a micro four thirds sensor in terms of resolution. With the OM Systems OM1 that just came out, it has a 20 megapixel sensor, but now the GH6 has this 25 megapixel sensor, giving us sharper images and of course better video specs. Like point number 3, 5.7K at 60 frames per second. Now there's other cameras like the A7 IV or the S5 from Panasonic that have larger sensored cameras that downscale to 4K, giving you really nice, sharp, clean 4K. But this GH6 is giving us full open gate 5.7K footage that gives us the full resolution of that sensor for video. That means that your 4K footage is gonna look even sharper, and it gives you extra room to crop in post. Number 4, anamorphic de-squeeze in camera. Ow. This is a really handy feature if you're an anamorphic fan. Anamorphic lenses are those lenses that make all those J.J. Abrams style flares everywhere. There are more anamorphic lenses available now than ever, and the GH cameras have the best implementations for a hybrid camera out there. So if you're an anamorphic shooter, the GH6 is going to be a dream because it does it all in camera.
It's an M50 with a
Number 5, codecs galore. Not only does the GH6 have the standard 10-bit options in both H.264 and H.265 HEVC, but now with the GH6 we get ProRes internal recording. Not ProRes RAW, but 422 and 422 HQ. That puts this camera in line with the iPhone. Apparently there will be an update in the future that enables the USB-C port to allow recording to external recorders, just like the Blackmagic Cinema 4K camera that uses the SSD port with the USB. It's gonna be awesome. This is great because it's much cheaper than what is leading to number 6, which is the CFast Express Type B card slot. CF Express Type B. Have I always longed for you in a GH camera, and now I have it. CF Express Type B card slot. These have come down in price, so they're not as expensive as they used to, and they are required to record ProRes internally. But if you want to record in standard H.264 or H.265, you can use the SD card slot, which is UHS-2 speeds. That's it. Number 7, high-speed recording up to 300 frames per second in 1080p. However, 300 frames per second looks pretty terrible, but it's okay because we can record up to 60 frames per second at 5.7K, but now you can record 4K 120, which is gonna be the best option for the cleanest picture during slow motion. Number 8, dynamic range boost function. This is something I want to test when I get hands-on with the camera, but based on the footage that I've seen in the reviews, this mode really helps give the image much better highlight roll-off and shadow detail. Apparently, it's over 13 stops of dynamic range with this function. However, the image gets a bit noisy because you will need to go to a higher ISO level to enable this feature. But this is some of the cool computational stuff going on here with the GH6. Number 9, AF for video is still crappy AF. Look, I understand Panasonic is working their tails off to make DFD or depth from defocus better, and based on the reviews I've seen, it does seem to have advanced a little bit. I just don't understand why Panasonic won't be humble, eat dirt on their DFD technology, and just include phase detect on the sensor like the rest of the industry. This is a huge disappointment. The focus gets there eventually with their new system, but the way it gets there does not look natural and is nowhere close to Sony and Canon. Canon being the most natural looking in terms of simulating a human focus puller, and Sony being the fastest and most reliable. I have spoken to the Panasonic reps in the past, and their answer for not doing phase detect is because they have spent so much money trying to make DFD work that they don't want to just trash the technology and go to phase detect. This is like Apple putting the crappy keyboards in the MacBook Pros for so long and then trying to fix it with different things until they finally realize that if they just put the old style of standard switch keyboard back into the new laptops, then people would love it. Some companies need a bit of humility and fire on their tail to revert back to something they didn't set out to do, and I believe Panasonic needs to just accept the fact that DFD is inferior for video shooters and is hindering their camera's potential in the marketplace.
You're such a dumb idiot!
Number 10, price point. Ow, this hurts. $2,200 for this camera, and if you're in the Micro Four Thirds world, this kills the OM1 if you don't care about autofocus for video. In every way, this thing is better, and it sits right below the cameras like the R6 and the Sony a7 IV. Panasonic's very own full-frame S5 is the same price, and I think that is where it would be hard to judge which is better for you. The full-frame sensor in the S5 is certainly better overall, but the features in the GH6 lean much more towards pro filmmaking, and if you're a freelance shooter already invested in the LUMIX Micro Four Thirds world, looking to upgrade your GH5 or even Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, this may be the one you have been waiting for. For me, this whole video was shot on the EM1 Mark III because I want my video to be in focus. I'm Dave Mays. Make sure to subscribe. I'm back. Subscribe, enable bell notifications. Connor is back too. He's been shooting this whole thing. Thanks for being here. Once again, I'm Dave Mays. Subscribe. See you next time.